بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أنبياء الله جميعا وعلى سيدهم وخاتمهم حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. قال تعالى في كتابه الكريم: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم تر إلى الذين بدلوا نعمة الله كفرا وأحلوا قومهم دار البوار جهنم يصلونها وبئس القرار. صدق الله العلي العظيم. I've been asked many times by many Americans, Europeans and others this important question: why do you have radicalism in your religion? Why some of your people turn terrorist in your faith? Why Muslim leaders do nothing about this? They don't raise their voice criticizing this. What does your society, your community, what does it do to stop this, to stop radicalism, violent extremism in the midst of your young ones, your youth, your communities? The answer: why do we have radicalism in the Muslim community? First of all, radicalism and violent extremism and terrorism does not only exist in Muslim communities. We have this, unfortunately, happening and taking place in many other communities, non-Muslim communities too. This is something unfortunate that affects Islamic and non-Islamic societies. The Christians, they suffer from extremists. The Jews suffer from extremists. The Buddhists also suffer from extremists. Look at what is happening to the Rohingyans Muslims. Hundreds of thousands of them were driven out of their homes. They were killed, persecuted. So it happens in all corners of earth. It happens in all communities. This is not something exclusively Islamic. It happens. This is a phenomenon that does exist in all human society, in all human societies. But why do we have it in our religion? They tell us that you say Islam is the religion of peace, religion of harmony, religion of equality, religion of justice. Then why do you have terrorism? There are two main reasons for this, for radicalism. Two main reasons. Number one, there are some traditions, some schools of thought, some sects, madhahib, who promote radicalism. They were established from a long time ago. From the first day, they were established based on hating others, not believing in others. One of their fundamentals is to excommunicate other Muslims, to reject them, takfir, not to recognize them as worshippers, to blame the entire Muslim ummah of heresy, not being authentic Muslims or genuine Muslims. These traditions started, and it was supplied with money, with petrodollars, and started to spread outside the Arabian Peninsula because they have money, they have influence, they have good relationships with many governments. Some of them are Americans, some of them are Europeans. So they extended their outreach to outside their boundaries. They established centers and mosques. They distributed books and literatures, fomenting sectarianism and radicalism. And they were able to recruit people because of their narrow narrative that is based on hating others. And unfortunately, these traditions or this sect was helped by the foreigners too. There were some powers 200 to 300 years ago who supported them, who supplied them with power, with political support. So this is number one. And the ideology of this tradition, this radical tradition, one of their most important fundamentals is to submit yourself to the sultan, to the leader, to the caliph, to waliyul amr, to the king. He's the supreme power. And you have to follow him blindly. أطيعوه ولو كان فاسقا. They use some fabricated ahadith that has been promoted by Bani Umayyah, that even if the sultan, even if the caliph is licentious, immoral, wicked, evil, corrupt, still you have to submit to him. أطيعوه ولو كان فاسقا. You have to obey your leader. Don't tell him why. Don't ask him why. Don't question him. You have to follow him blindly. This is one of their most important philosophical basis of their doctrine, of their faith, of their tradition. Blind following of their leaders. They don't want you to ask why. You have to follow. Follow the instructions. Don't ask why. So based on this, definitely there was dictatorship, totalitarianism in Islam. Because nowhere God says in the Quran, nowhere our Prophet says, you have to follow the Sultan blindly and submit to him. No one. In Islam we have a freedom. Freedom to discuss, freedom to ask, freedom to object, freedom to reject. When Imam Ali became caliph, few leaders in Kufa, they said, we're not going to pay allegiance to him. Imam Ali said, leave them alone. They don't have to pay allegiance. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. They did not pay allegiance to him. He did not use force against them. This is Islam. This is the school of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his family. So this was one reason. Dictatorship in Islam. Despotism, istibdad. Despotism results in what? In some people starting to hate religion and they want to revolt and change the situation. And they start bearing arms because they are disappointed. They are disappointed with their governments, with their sultans, with their caliphs. But unfortunately, some of those people, rather than trying to reform the ummah, they go into the wrong direction. Wrong direction. They start killing the people. Rather than saving the people, saving women and children, saving religious institutions, they start striking on the weakest and the most vulnerable in the ummah. Women, children, minorities, educational institutions, marketplace, hospital. They go into the wrong direction because they are misguided. Misguided. So this is one reason. One reason why we have radicalism is because we have dictatorship. Radicalism does not flourish within democracy. Why Wahhabism is spreading? Wahhabism is spreading in an environment of narrow-mindedness. If there is an open environment, if there is an environment where you have the freedom of discussion and speech to express yourself, if there is an environment of multiplicity and a pluralism, then there is no room for narrow-mindedness, because each one can follow a way that likes. But when you shut all the doors, no pluralism, you have to follow the Malik, the king, blindly. And you have to follow only this madhab, because this madhab is going to take you to paradise. Other madhahib, other traditions, they are heretic. They take you to the hellfire. There, in such an environment, radicalism and violent extremism flourishes. But when you have a freedom of opinion, freedom of expression, people don't have to fight. If you don't like this madhab, there is another one. If you don't like the second one, go to the third one. Go to the fourth one. Go and read. Go and discover. Express yourself. Speak. Speak your mind. Nobody is suffocating you. Nobody is shutting your mouth. No need for you to resort to weapons, to killing the people, to destroying your society. But because of lack of democracy. And therefore, my friends, if you survey and if you watch radicals, the more dictatorship we have in a country, the more radicals we have. The less dictatorship and more democracy, the less radicals we have. There is a correlation between the two. Once there is no freedom of expression, freedom of religion, there is no dignity for the human being, they are treated like animals, people are turned into extremists. People will resort to violence, because you have two ways. Either you have aql, reason, brain, fikr, intellectual. If not, then you're going to carry the weapons and destroy. So this is one reason. The second reason is ignorance, jahl. Jahl. If people open their mind, if people study, if people compare and contrast religions, they would not become radicals. فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. God says, I give you freedom. Why do you want to kill people? You don't have to kill. You don't like this religion, this tradition, go to another one. But because in these societies, under Wahhabism, there is no freedom of thought. There is no real education. They teach their children in the schools, they teach them to hate others, hate other Muslims. They disrespect other Muslims in the school, let alone other religions. Let alone other religions. I'm speaking about Muslims. They teach them to hate this group, to hate that group, to have suspicion about this, to reject that one, to call those names, to call this one non-Muslim, mushrik, kafir. The easiest term you find it in that culture is shirk, kufr, shirk, kufr. That is their favorite terms, shirk and kufr. A result of that, people turn to extremism. Result of ignorance, when there is openness, my friends, people change. People start changing. When people read about others, they go to universities, they discover facts, they get close to science, there is less radicalism. But if someone goes to one mosque and there is a sick sheikh there, sick, who has to be put in a mental institution, mental hospital, he's delivering his speeches, his venom, then definitely is going to brainwash. Brainwash the young ones, those who don't have education. You know, most of those who committed suicide bombings, they were 17 years old, 18 years old, 20 years old, without education, without good educational background. They were easily brainwashed in the mosque. The Prime Minister of Iraq the other day said, he said, we had 5,000 Saudi bombers who killed themselves and they killed others in my country, in Iraq. 5,000. Huge number. They come from a background which does not appreciate ilm. If there is ilm and openness in learning, they don't turn to violence. They are misguided. And they want them to stay misguided. Because once you open your eyes, you start asking, why should I kill this person or that person? Why should I hate in the first place? Why should I hate? People are like me, humans, innocent. If they are different from me, this is not a reason for me to go and kill them and torture them. But there is ignorance and jahl. وَالْإِنسَانَ عَدُوُّ مَا يَجْهَلُ. The Prophet has something beautiful. We have to memorize it. The Prophet says, قَلِيلٌ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ خَيْرٌ مِنْ كَثِيرٍ مِنَ الْعِبَادَةِ. قَلِيلٌ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ. If you study a little bit and open your eyes and discover God, and you know what God wants from you accurately, it's better than spending your time in the mosque doing nothing but praying. قَلِيلٌ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ. Little bit of understanding and openness. Little bit of incorporating your brain, your aql. It will save you. Better than going to mosque, praying, fasting 5 times a day. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And then you learn nothing. قَلِيلٌ مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ خَيْرٌ مِّن كَثِيرٍ مِّنَ الْعِبَادَةِ. We have to understand, we have to learn. Once you learn, you open your eyes, you're going to develop different perspective regarding people. You're going to like people more, not hating them. You're not going to hurt people, you're going to help people. But because those mashayikh in Saudi Arabia, they want their followers and the people and the masses to remain ignorant. They want them to remain ignorant. Because when they are ignorant, they can easily recruit them and send them to kill people, to kill themselves and others. One day I saw a clip of someone in Iraq who was about to kill himself in a suicide mission, and his friend was standing next to him. The friend was speaking in that movie and saying to the mother of this victim who's going to kill himself, he was telling her, congratulations for a wonder son, raising a wonderful son who's going to kill himself and kill many innocents with him. Congratulations. Someone who's going to kill 50 or 60 or 100 innocent, some of them women, some of them children, some of them elderly. You say congratulations to her? Is this the message of Islam? Is this وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ? But because he's ignorant. His mashayikh, they wanted him to be ignorant. And I don't put the blame only on those mashayikh. I also blame some countries, foreign countries, who are helping them, supporting them, establishing good relationships and good ties with them, considering them to be their strongest allies in the region. The West also are implicated in these crimes. When you know this regime is corrupt, there is no democracy, there is no respect for humans. There is a dynasty who is controlling this country for so many years, so many decades, so many centuries, controlling the country, the fate of the people, and you still support them, and you send arms to them, and you consider them your best allies. then you are responsible too. Don't blame it on my Islam. Blame it on yourself. Islam is innocent. Islam never said we have to murder people. Never ever. It is you and your policy and your politics and your imperialism and your dominance, because you want to dominate. Farraq tasud. You want to ensue hatred among the Muslims. Why? So you can control them. You can get their oil free and cheap. One day you create ISIS. As soon as ISIS has not left yet, you create Kurdistan, independent Kurdistan. And tomorrow you will create something else. And after that, something else. To keep the Muslims killing each other. So they will be an easy target for you. Their lands, their soils, their natural resources is going to be yours. They are helping them. Who helped ISIS? ISIS is not purely Islamic. I know the young ones are Muslims, brainwashed. But there were other powers who came into the making of ISIS. They helped them. They facilitate the journey for them. They purchased oil from them. They sent arms to them to keep the Muslims killing each other. And then to tell the West, look at Islam, to demonize Islam, to dehumanize Islam, to say this is Islam. Islam is nothing but a bloodthirsty religion. To tell the West. But they are not going to succeed. وَيَمْكُرُونَ وَيَمْكُرُ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ وَلَا يَحِيقُ الْمَكْرُ السَّيِّئُ إِلَّا بِأَهْلِهِ. We have a responsibility, my friends. We have to teach and educate our children. To teach them the openness of Islam, the respect for humanity. Imam Hussein is about respect for the entire humanity. Even those who disagree with them, he embraces them with his love, with his compassion. Islam is not about enmity or hate. Islam is about mercy and forgiveness and love. Assalamu ala al-Hussein wa ala Ali ibn al-Hussein wa ala awlad al-Hussein wa ala ashab al-Hussein jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh wa sallallahu wa sallama ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ahli baytihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin.